I have already called Mitch McConnell, John Boehner, Harry Reid, and Nancy Pelosi to invite them to a meeting here at the White House in the first week of the lame duck on November 18th. This is going to be a meeting in which I want us to talk substantively about how we can move the American people's agenda forward.
So he's reaching out to a lot of the leadership on both sides of the aisle, and Congressman Peter King and the president have at times been on opposite sides when it came to things like the New York mosque and the terrorist trials in New York City of Guantanamo Bay detainees. But now King is poised to take the chairmanship of the House Homeland Security Committee, and the president is reaching out to him. He joins me now. He's currently the ranking member of that committee. Welcome, Congressman. Good morning. Good to have you with us today.
Good morning, Martha.
So I know you like,
my pleasure.
It's good to have you, sir. You, like many of us, didn't get a whole lot of sleep the other night. Went to take a nap after the whole thing was finally over, and the phone rang.
Yeah, I was up to about 3 o'clock in the morning on election night, and I went home, disconnected all the phones. My wife was over taking care of the grandchildren. I asked my office not to contact me in any way. Cell phone was off. Fortunately, my sister was staying at the house, and apparently all these panicky phone calls were being made. Nobody could get through, didn't know what was going on. They tracked my wife down. She called my sister. She called my office in Washington, and I'm sound asleep in the middle of this dead sleep, and I hear my sister yelling. And she's a nurse. I thought I was dreaming and having a heart attack or something. And she said, the president has to talk to you. So there I am, sitting up, trying to wake up, and the president gets on the phone, and he actually was very cordial. He congratulated me on hopefully becoming chairman of the Homeland Security Committee. He thanked me for having said good things over the weekend about the administration's handling of the whole Yemen crisis.
Right.
And he said he hoped we could work together on Homeland Security issues. I made the mistake, though, instinctively, when you say hello to someone, I said, hey, Mr. President, how you doing today? You know, not even thinking that he had lost the election the night before. So he said to me, well, to be honest with you, I've had a lot better days than this one.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that was a very candid response that you got from the president there. You say that you have agreed with the president on how he's dealt with a lot of Homeland Security issues, but that philosophically, you have a very different take on how it comes to dealing with terrorists in this country. This is a major, important issue to a lot of Americans.
It is, and I think in some ways the president's entire concept was wrong. For instance, as far as closing Guantanamo, having the 9/11 trials in New York. Also, I thought the administration was very uncoordinated during the Christmas bombing last year. But as far as the actual day-to-day operations, as far as the CIA, the FBI, the National Counterterrorism Center, in many ways the Department of Homeland Security, they are doing an excellent job day-to-day. And I told that to John Brennan the other night. I've had differences with John Brennan over the last year, too. But I think day-to-day they are doing an excellent job, and I wanted them to know that. And so when I do have philosophical differences with the president, they will be honest differences. I think that national security and homeland security, we should try to make it as bipartisan as possible, or obviously when there's differences, express them, but don't take partisan shots for the sake of being partisan.
Well, let me ask you this. You know, as a New Yorker, New Yorkers know probably better than anybody in this country that al-Qaeda, when they fail, they keep coming back. They did it in '93. We've watched now these mail bomb attempts that have happened. And anybody who follows this believes that they're just going to keep trying this stuff, that the chatter is at a level it hasn't been at in a very long time, and that the folks who cover this, for a living on the security side are very nervous right now.
They should be. Al-Qaeda is morphing, it's metastasizing, it's gone beyond just being in Afghanistan or Pakistan. We have Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula. We have homegrown terrorists here in the United States. We've seen a number of instances in the last year where Al-Qaeda has actually reached out to and recruited Americans who are living here legally. The Shahzad case in Times Square, the Zazi case last year in New York about the liquid bomb explosive attack that was going to be carried out on the New York City subway system. We have Alaki, the sheikh in Yemen, the imam in Yemen, who was head of Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula. No, these are real threats, and they are on a daily basis.
And as you point out, a lot of folks criticized how the administration handled the Christmas Day bomber. That was almost 1 year ago. Do you have indications that they are thinking about this problem very differently, and that the response that they had to that would never happen again today?
Martha, they've certainly refined their approach. I think it's much more direct now, and I think that as each day goes by, the administration realizes that a lot of the things that President Bush had done were actually the right things. You don't hear as much talk about closing Guantanamo. You don't hear as much talk about interrogation procedures. So I think that they realize how deadly this is. And again, there will always be certain philosophical differences, but the men and women, the professionals in the counterterrorism business, the intelligence business, they are doing a phenomenal job. Leon Panetta in particular at the CIA is doing a very good job. So I think that should be said. On the other hand, I will still speak out. I will oppose them if they try to have the 9/11 trials in New York. I believe that the Homeland Security funding should be much more threat-based than it is right now.
Right.
And I think that there's not always the emphasis shown there should be, but by and large, they are doing the job. When they're doing it, I will say it. When I'm critical, I will also be very critical.
All right. That's an important job, important work, as you well know, sir. Thank you very much for talking with us today. We promise not to call you and wake you up
Thank you.
if you decide to try to catch a little bit of sleep. We won't call. We're done. We're done for today. Thank you, Congressman.
You can call anytime.
All right. Thank you, Congressman.
So you can go back to bed now, I guess, sir.
Poor guy.